ITS has many achievements. Both national and international achievements prove that ITS keeps growing and gives the best contribution to the nation of Indonesia. ITS is a place for new hopes to grow, an ideal environment for the new generation to flourish in three strategic locations within the industrial city of Surabaya. As a smart eco-campus, ITS maintains harmony between technological advances and the sustainability of the surrounding ecosystem. ITS has 7 faculties with prospective scientific fields, including scientists, INSIS, vocation, creatives, more tech, electives, SIF plan. ITS is a space for the new generation who are hungry for knowledge because it provides a wide range of references in both physical and digital form. ITS makes it easier for the new generation to access information by providing flexible classes. ITS keeps moving forward in facing future challenges by providing the best facilities for the new generation's activities. The facilities support both spiritual and physical needs. ITS also provides research facilities in the ITS Science Technopark, including ICT and robotics, automotive, maritime, and creative industries. Therefore, the excellent generations from ITS will emerge and make history. ITS is a space for the new generation to express themselves. ITS is a place where the new generation learns new things and finds their purpose. ITS has become a place where the new generations that carry the future will be born.
ITS is a campus of science and technology, which focuses on the research and innovation, presenting technology for prosperity.
With a spirit of heroism, ITS brings the future before us. ITS, the University of Heroes.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, before we start commence the program, and here are the following webinar protocols. For each participant ID, please use your real name following with your origin of institution. All of participants are expected to mute the audio and only unmute the video during the event. We cordially invite you to take your own firm and comfort seat in your own room, and please avoid the backlight. Make sure that you have a good and stable internet connection. If you have an earphone or headset, we recommend you to use it so that your voice can clearly and loudly to be heard. During the Q&A discussion session, all participants, please use the chat box to input the question. Thank you for your cooperation and consideration.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining our event today, Researcher and Research Student Enrichment Program for Hard Engineering Stream, or usually we call it R2SEP. Before we start our agenda today, I will read out the important information to all attendants. First, please fill the attendance form on the provided link, which will be shared in the Zoom chat room by our committees. The link will be closed in 15 minutes. Second, please fill the feedback form, which will be shared in the Zoom chat room 15 minutes before the session ends, and it will be closed after 1 hour. Third, the attendance and feedback form are compulsory for these purposes. First, attendance is mandatory for the new ITS master and doctoral students. Certificate of participation, which is eligible only for international participants, 60% attendance or minimum 5 meetings. It is for STEM for it, which is only eligible for ITS undergraduate students. Participant who wish to ask question during the Q&A session, please send your question at the provided link in the Zoom chat room, or alternatively, you may raise your hand during the Q&A session to ask your question directly. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to the Researcher and Research Student Enrichment Program for Hard Engineering. Today, Thursday, 7 October 2021. I'm Dewi from ITS Postgraduate Office, and I'll be your Master of Ceremony for this session. Before we start the session, allow me to inform you on our today's agenda as follows. The first agenda is the opening by MC, continued by the introduction of moderator and the speaker. After that, we will get to the main agenda, the lecturer session, then followed by Q&A session, and it will be ended with the conclusion and closing. Again, I would like to remind you to fill your attendance form shared through the provided link in the Zoom chat room, which will be closed in 15 minutes from now. Before moving to the next agenda, please allow me to elaborate about today's lecture. Today's lecture theme in R2SEP for Hard Engineering Stream is about literature review, latest tools and methods, a PhD candidate's perspective, which will be delivered by our speaker, Mr. Ahmad Yarohmadi, MSc, from Tarbiyat Modares University, Iran, and Mr. Abdul Munif, MSc, from ITS, who will be the one conducting our session as our moderator. So let me introduce you to our moderator for today. Our moderator today, Mr. Munif, graduated from ITS with the Bachelor of Informatics and from National Taiwan University of Science and Technology in Taipei with Master of Science in Engineering. Currently, he is a lecturer at the Department of Informatics of ITS and also a educator certified Amazon Web Services. His research interests are about artificial intelligence, fuzzy logic, data mining, text mining, and big data. Without further ado, let's proceed to the main agenda. To Mr. Munif as our moderator, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Dewi Sartika, for giving me this opportunity. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Abdul Munif from Department of Informatics, and I will be happy to be a moderator for today's session. Before to start the lecture, please let me inform you about our timeline. So after this, we will have 40 minutes until 60 minutes of presentation from our speaker. Our speaker is Mr. Ahmad Yarahmadi from Tarbiyat Modares University. He is a PhD candidate in Electrical and Electronics Engineering, Tarbiyat Modares University from Iran. He also got his MSc and BSc degree from Tarbiyat Modares University. He is right now have academic and professional experience in educational consultant, CEO, and operational manager in Moshe Riverberg during May 2017 until now. And also he is a research assistant in Tarbiyat Modares University since September 2013 until now. His research interest is low voltage and low power RF integrated circuit or RFIC. So today, Mr. Ahmad Yarahmadi, we will give a lecture about literature review, latest tools and methods, and hopefully we can get new knowledge from his lecture. For your information, during the presentation session, you can ask your question by writing in the chat room or maybe by submitting to the form that provided by the committee. Okay, Mr. Ahmad, if you are ready to present, the time is yours. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. Yes, I'm ready, and I will share my screen. Very good. So you have my screen, yes?
Yes.
Good. In the name of Allah, hi everybody. I am Ahmad Yarahmadi, PhD candidate from Tarbiyat Modares University. At the end of my PhD journey, I will defend my PhD dissertation this autumn, inshallah. So I'm here to talk about literature review for you. The outline. The outline of this presentation is here. The first part of this presentation is the introduction part. In this part, I will talk about what is a literature review, what is the purpose of a literature review, and what is the role of literature review. Then, in organizing the literature review part, we will first discuss how to do a literature review, identify sources, assessing the quality of information sources, and how to evaluate them. Then we will see how to organize the literature review that you find and how to avoid silo approach in versus of scientists synthesizing for the literature review process. Then in the practical hints part, I will tell you some practical hints for having a better literature review and search, and the session will be concluded in the conclusion part. So, introduction. A researcher cannot perform scientific research without first understanding the literature in the field. So what is the literature, and then what is the literature review means? The term, the literature, is the body of scholarly work on a practical topic. A literature review is a formal analysis and critical It surveys, highlights, summarizes, synthesizes, interprets, and critiques this body of work. Literature reviews are a crucial part of proposals, research papers, and reports. In other words, literature review is an overview of previous research on your field. It is a comprehensive review of all published research relevant to your proposed investigation and guided by your research objectives. To complete literature review, planning, time, reading, writing, drafting, reflecting, and editing are necessary. A successful review has a firm idea of the research problem and understanding the research framework or paradigm. To refine the research problem, conduct preliminary research which will help you narrow your focus and identify key terms. So the literature review is, remember that it is very important. The literature review is not an annotated bibliography, but it develops an argument by summarizing and presenting key information and then synthesize, which means reorganizing the information. It distinguishes what has already been done and identifies what needs to be done. We need to keep development in the literature and research landscape. Remember how your work connects with current literature needs to be explicit. We must develop a framework to find where new findings are compared to previous results. Remember, it is not a list of seemingly unrelated sources. And remember, background information or explanations of concepts is not a real literature review. It is not just a literary survey that contains author's view, lists of works, summaries of sources, and so on. It is very important. The purpose of a literature review. The purpose of literature review is to conduct the depths of research that has been accomplished on a subject. A good literature review must support the motivation and significance of the literature and identify essential issues and link to hypotheses. It must identify critical areas of missing knowledge. It must describe methodologies used and describe existing data sets. Literature review must link proposed research to previous and ongoing research efforts and helps you learn everything about your subject, and finally ensures that you are not reinventing the wheel. It is very important too. Eventually helps you learn about people in the field. It is very important for networking. You are expected to place your research in the existing academic literature. Simply describing the literature should be avoided. A critical and analytical judgment that demonstrates how or where your work is the best place and work that needs developing is essential. Your work should contribute to the existing literature in the field. Ensure consideration is given to the methodological and theoretical argument that inform the literature. And finally, be aware of how research paradigm influence the research. So, let's talk about the role of a literature review. This is the time for questioning everything. Remember, everything. Don't have any bias here. In the other word, the role of a literature review is to answer following questions. For example, why did you choose your research topic? And what is known about your subject? Are there any gaps in the knowledge of the subject? And then identify the problem from which your research emerges. What aspects have generated significant debate on the topic? Have areas of further study be identified by other researchers that you may want to consider? Who are the significant research personalities in this area? It is another important for future connections. What methods or problems were identified by others studying in the field, and how might they impact your research? And explain why you choose to propose a study and research method. Why? What is the most productive methodology for your research based on the literature you have reviewed, and demonstrate how the literature supports and explains the choices you have made about your study. Why did you do that? What is the current status of research in this area? Is it novel or no? What sources of information or data were identified that might be useful for you? Literature reviews. Finally, literature reviews are conducted for various reasons. For example, one, for writing a paper, thesis, or dissertation, you may want to write a review paper or write an introduction session or maybe discussion session on a research paper, master thesis, or PhD dissertation, which I've done a few months ago. Two, for embarking on a new area of research, you need to do a literature review first. Three, research proposals. For presenting a research proposal, you may do a literature review because it will determine if proposed research is actually needed. Although sometimes, even if similar research published, researchers might suggest a need for similar studies or replication. So it is a good question. At last, we need to know what we must find from our literature as students. But at the undergraduate level, backing your points up with appropriate authoritative sources are acceptable. If you are a master's student, demonstrating that you understand how knowledge is created in your field of study is enough. And finally, as a PhD students, first year or second year students, you must demonstrate how you can create new and original knowledge from previous research in your field. And even more, when you are a PhD candidate like me, you should be able to peer review and build a coherent body of work of your own and assuring others' work too. So let's talk about how to organize the literature review. How to do a literature review? First of all, define the research topic that you need to review its literature. Then collect and prioritize a list of keywords for your research area and identify sources of information in the topic. Then read, evaluate, analyze all the works and do it again, and again. Finally, discuss findings and conclusions with others. It is very important for understanding context and gaps in previous research. For doing a better review, divide works. Remember, divide works into supportive and antithetical positions, subheadings, because this will help you to identify relationships between works in the literature quickly and easily. Then explain how these apply to your research. And let's define our research topic first. First, you must define the research topic. Select a topic you are interested in because you want to be fascinated during the process and less likely to lose your motivation. Choose a topic with a feasible focus. Remember that feasible, keep the focus clear and defined, and it will be easier to complete that something huge and vague. I have this very much in master students, for example. Get help, get it real early and often. Ask opinions before you begin. Ask, don't worry. Review drafts. Once you start them, you may want to start with a general idea. Review the literature of that area and then refine your problem. Refine your problem based on what you have found, not anything else. So how to do that? So identify resources. First, we must identify resources that we can find information from them. There are three different types of sources. One, papers, like journal papers, conference papers, indexes, abstracts, and tutorial papers. Two, PhD dissertations and MSc theses. Three, books. The literature included can be any format appropriate to your topic, as following examples. Don't restrict yourself to journal papers just. Look in books. You will need to know and cite the work of major contributors in the field. A lot of this in books, especially annual reviews, for example. Important information can be found in reports and other non-academic sources. For example, search government websites and associations related to your topic, electronic databases on internet, and videos on YouTube. And other unpublished research are the other good resources of your information. But after finding sources, you must assess the quality of the information sources. For example, it must be a refereed journal article in the top. Publishers like IEEE, Springer Nature, Elsevier, Taylor and Francis, and John Wiley publish very high quality journals and are the most prestigious and valuable journals in vast areas of research. Same as journals, for conferences, you must see where database index that conference. IEEE index conferences are excellent candidates for electrical engineering in my field, for example. Another essential feature for a conference, it is the period of occurrence. For example, it seems that a conference held for 20 years is more reliable than a conference held for the first time. After assessing the paper, you need to evaluate the standing of the author too. Is he or she work with an academic collection like University or College? Or he or she is just a journalist or government employee and is not an academic one? Find that if the work was in her or his major field of research or not, just it was a collaboration with other researchers. It is another good question. You can find other papers, works from that personality. You can connect with others in your research area. I will discuss it later. Sorry. Assessment. Another assessment is evaluate. Evaluate the information is another part of the assessment session. You must determine the facts and points of view in your field. Then examine new findings and even question assumptions for embarking ideas in your mind. Remember, assumptions. Question any assumption. It's very important. Determine if the methodology is appropriate or not, and are the objectives are clearly outlined. Can you do this? Can you say that the conclusion logically follow your objectives? An excellent hint here: identify classic or landmark articles. There are some fundamental articles that most of the other books are just minor improvements from them. Find them because they will help you very, very much. If in the previous evaluation, I mean the information evaluation, you find no relevant information, you need to reconsider your research strategy and new keywords and explore other disciplines for information, for trusted information. If too many irrelevant items occurred in your research, re-evaluate keywords and narrow the scope of your research. A practical hint here: document your research strategy to keep multiple lists of keywords so they will show you what works and what doesn't work. So now, after collecting an assessment of research, it is time for reading. So what are the relevant sources that you need? Produce a bibliography which will also act as your reading list. Read and read and read and so on. Once you have familiarized yourself with the literature, annotate the bibliography. Annotation. What is annotation? Annotation is a brief overview or summary of your main points of each article. Once an overview of the literature has been obtained, develop your focus. The annotation provides you with a list of sources that you need to be turned into a review for the literature organization around your idea. Please, a practical hint here. Please do the PQRS for any source. What does it mean? PQRS means preview, question, reading, and summarize. A preview, preliminary reading, reading abstracts, introductions, first sentence of each paragraph, and conclusion. Only read whole the paper when you are certain the information is relevant to your research area. Don't waste your time. Question: what do you need to find out? What are the main questions and conclusions of this paper? Are there possible alternative interpretations of the literature, of this paper? Reading. Be active. Search for answers to the questions you have found. Be ace and summarize. Take selective notes. Use colors and space to organize. So, how to read? Another good question. Reading for the big picture in the first steps of your review is essential, and then focus on and narrow your point of view. Read the more straightforward works first, because you are unfamiliar with the space, and after being familiar with the literature, read other works. Skim the document and identify major concepts, and then scan the paper for understanding that paper. So, how to read a paper? Please follow the following steps. Step 1. Read the abstract and then decide whether to read the article or not. Don't waste your time. Step 2. Read the introduction because it explains why the study is important, and it provides a review and evaluation of references. Step 3. Read method with a close, critical eye and focus on participants, measures, and procedures. Step 4. Evaluate results and find if the conclusions are logical or not. And can you detect any bias on the part of the research? Step 5. Take the discussion with a grain of salt and try to understand that something is likely to be untrue or incorrect in this paper or not. And pay attention to the author's limitations. Remember, after you have a broad understanding of the 10 or 50 or more papers, at least you could start to see patterns. What does it mean? In some cases, groups of scientists argue or disagree with other groups. For example, some researchers think X causes Y. Others think X is only a moderating variable. So we must know that. So after all, organizing the literature that you find, use a system, please. Use a system that allows you to reorder your ideas and create a list of references on your computer. For example, use PowerPoint slides because you can sort them with the slide sorter function. Or use word tables because you can add or remove columns and rows to the table. And you can use bibliography databases software like EndNote, Zotero, and Mendeley. A practical hint here. Consider color coding to help separate ideas and evidence and show relationship among them. And use a chart to reveal connections between studies and your questions. Find an organizing principle for the chart that works for your purpose. Organize information in a way that makes sense for your purpose. Research questions and objectives. Possible organizing principles for your chart is like this mentioned. Research findings, theoretical approaches, causes of or reasons for something, effects of something, type of study, and methodology. So common approaches to organizing literature among them is 1. Chronological, 2. Methodological, 3. Thematic or conceptual. Chronological, depending on the nature of your literature and development of ideas, a chronological approach will present the development of a key trend and or progression and change in practices. Remember it, methodological. This review focuses on the methodological or paradigmatic approaches to your material. And 1, conceptual. Time is not the factor here. The review of the literature will be around practical topic, practical issue or theory. Remember, so I think the best way to reorganize your literature review is to sort it by theme or topic. Start with extensive and broad themes and ideas, inside which are nested sub-ideas and components. These sub-themes may emerge as you write your first draft, for example, your first chart, for example. Before you begin to write your literature review, consider the hidden gem, the big picture of your idea. Then narrate. I suggest that you use a numbered system, for example, like one on the next slide. This system will help you keep track of your themes and sub-themes as you write your draft or create your chart. Our example. This is the example on numbering the themes of our research. We have 3 main headings, which indicate 3 main themes of our research. They are shown as 1, 2, and 3, or so on. Each main heading have some second level heading, which means first, second, and so on sub-themes, and shown with 1.1, 1.2, and so on. Each second level could have some third level headings that point about second sub-themes, shown by 1.1.1, and so on. Even we can have fourth level heading shown by 1.1.1.1 and so on. So now let's synthesize our literature review. Synthesizing is a key to a literature review. A synthesize identifies and interprets themes, trends, and relationships. It reveals similarities and differences and shows how the literature advances the research area of our. A thematic organization can make synthesizing easier. Students new to writing literature reviews often use a silo approach instead of a synthesize. They organize their literature reviews by studying instead of by theme or trend. The purpose of a literature review is not to analyze each study separately, but to show how this study relates to one another and to your own study. You don't need to read everything. You can't. You don't need to read every text, or even you don't need to read every word. Just you need to do a right literature review. That's all of it. For example, silo approach versus synthesizes I mentioned. In the silo approach, each study discussed separately. Comparisons are not made and relationships not drawn. While in the synthesized approach that I mentioned in the previous slide, no study discussed in isolation. Study findings and or methods compared and relationships drawn. In this silo approach, no relationship drawn because the student's own research and the research discussed in the literature review. While in the synthesized approach, the student's own research is at the center of the discussion and analyze and comparison of all studies. In the silo approach, literature review organized chronologically or even randomly, while in the synthesized approach, literature review organized by the themes that are most relevant for our study. In the silo approach, individual studies refer to only once, while in the synthesized approach, individual studies referred several times under different themes. So, how to avoid this silo approach now? One method for avoiding the silo approach is to start with a map or flowchart, as mentioned. The next slide contains an example for that. Prepare a table with 2 columns in a Word document. Put the headings from one map or outline or chart in the left column. Insert studies you have found in the right column wherever you think they might fit. Remember, you will likely insert the same studies under several headings. Don't mind it. In this example, research area is low noise amplifier or LNA. This is my MSc thesis. You can see thematic context in the left column and studies in the right column. I show them with their numbers on my reference list as mentioned previously. A list I have created from every source I have found, articles, theses, dissertations, and so on. The first main theme is non-silicon based LNA. It is in these references, as you can see. The second main theme is bi-CMOS LNAs. It is in these references. The second main theme is bi-CMOS LNA. That's reference in this descent. The third main theme is CMOS LNAs. It is in these references. So the first subtheme is narrowband designs. That it is in these references. The second subtheme, wideband design, it is in these references. So now narrow down. The subtheme, the first subtheme is low noise, very low noise design. It is in these references. The second subtheme is the low power LNA or low power designs. It is in these references. And the third subtheme is highly linear designs. That is in these references in my study. But now, after collecting our review, we must revise our literature review. So ask yourself these questions and make sure of them. 1. How have I accurately represented the author's view? Am I a true judge? Is source materials reference current and relevant to this research topic? Are all major theories, scholars, studies represented? Have I shown relationships between sources or just separately introduced? Is there a clear connection between the research topic and the literature review? Are all sources documented accurately or not? How I use effective transitions from idea to idea, source to source, and paragraph to paragraph? Is my analysis of sources well developed? How I represent all conflicts or arguments, sides fairly or not? After revision of your literature, we can have a good literature review. So now let's talk about some practical hints, I think. First, common mistakes, we must avoid them. Failure to link the findings of the literature review to our own study and review doesn't relate to any other study. Avoid it. And it seems like a series of disjointed summaries. It is not a good thing. Absence of criticality and accepting findings as valid without questioning all aspects of the literature, all aspects of that research paper or design or circuit in my case. Just produce an annotated bibliography as mentioned in the first slides, while you should synthesize information as mentioned before. And there are too few references, for example, or outdated references cited, and recent references are omitted. It is not a good question. What? So, another practical hints. There are some practical bits of advice here. 1. Start immediately and do not wait for anything or anybody or anything else. Just as you find out about the topic of your research, project, start the literature review, and your search must be started as soon as possible. Don't waste your time. Keep search up to date. For this matter, you can use applications like Researcher app. I will mention it later. Summarize papers that you read. This is a beneficial method for literature review. It helps you to find ideas inside any paper quickly, as mentioned. Connect to the other people in your field. They will help you. Just ask them. In my experience, most of them answered my questions and approved my ideas and helped me with simulations many times. So please do not hesitate to ask them and then find answers from others on this road. Use the internet databases for having an intelligent research. For example, Google Scholar, Researcher app, and ResearchGate websites are good candidates for this purpose. I will discuss them for you. First of all, Google Scholar. Use Google Scholar to find the latest and even I can say all of the papers and patents in your field. You can even find scholarly people in your area of study. Just search a keyword and you will find out how the research is made easy for you. For example, you can see me. For example, you can see my profile here. All of my published papers are here. You can find my preferred area and website and verified email, so you can connect me quickly. From my papers, you can find my latest projects and areas of research, for example, 2 time delays now as my PhD dissertation. So you can decide if I'm a good and up-to-date person for your study or not. Another good research environment is Researcher app. Another very good research environment is the Researcher app. Keeping up to date with research can feel impossible, with papers being published faster than we can ever be able to read them. That's where Researcher app comes in and helps us. With over 50,000 journals across 10 search areas, as I pictured them here, you must just choose which journals you want to follow and it will create you a personalized feed. You will find filters, notifications, bookmarks, and so on. So you will never miss any essential piece of research again. You can use it as an app on your cell phone or use its web-based version. Easily you can follow your topic. For example, I followed 2 time delay cells for my PhD journey, LNA for my master, and so on. And all papers about this topic comes in my feed, like other social medias, but this one is an academic one. Another good web environment, ResearcherGate. ResearcherGate is a social networking website for scientists and researchers to share papers, ask the questions, answer them, and find collaborators. It is one of the largest academic social networks in terms of active users. Remember, it's active users. While reading articles doesn't require registration, people who wish to become site members and ask questions with an academic organization email, you can register it. As Google Scholar, each member of this site have a user profile. You can see mine there, and you can upload research output, including papers, data, chapters, negative results, patents, research proposal, methods, presentations, software source code, questions, and users may also find the activities of other researchers and engage in discussions with them. ResearchGate indexes self-published information on user profiles to suggest members to connect with others who will familiar interests. When a member posts a question, it is filled to others that have identified on their user profile that they have a relevant experience. It also has private chat rooms where users can share data, edit shared documents, or discuss confidential papers. I've done it very too many times. And conclusion. In this presentation, We have discussed about what is literature, what is the purpose of literature, what is the role of literature, how to do a literature, how to identify sources and how to assess them, how to organize literature. For example, starting with a thematic organization, talked about the synthesizing approach and how to avoid from silo approach. And then we have some practical hints for having a better literature review.
Ông lấy ý kiến bật xe dụ.
And finally, I'd like to share this beautiful picture with you. This is our garden in my fatherhood village, Zarinkhani, in Buruj city, Loresta province in the West of Iran, and here in the fall season. And thank you for your attendance. Thanks.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Mr. Ahmad, for your great presentation. Yeah, hopefully we can get new knowledge from your presentation. Okay, so right now we continue to our next session, which is a question and answer. So the participant who are willing to ask live, you can raise your hand and you can ask your question directly. Okay, maybe, is there any question? So if there is no question yet from the live session, maybe I will read from the offline session. We have some question that already written in our form. The first question is from Siti Agustini. She is from ITS. She asked about how search strategies of literature to maximize our research. So, please, Mr. Ahmad, can you answer?
Can you explain it one more time?
Okay, so how we can maximize, how the search strategy, it means that how we can search the literature to maximize the research, our research.
I think we must narrow our research topic. For example, in my field, we work on RFICs, radio frequency integrated ICs. It is a very vast area of research. So it cannot be a very good search to for example, search in YouTube or Google Scholar, RFIC designs. No, it is not a very good question. You must narrow your topic. For example, which part of RFIC I want to do my research. For example, low noise amplifier designs. In low noise amplifier designs, first, for maximizing your search strategy, first, read tutorials, papers, and theses. For example, I suggest you PhD theses because they have done the literature review first one time. So after reading some, I think 10 is good, 10 PhD dissertations or 10 tutorial papers, you can narrow your topic even narrower your topic. After that, you can search for exact topic. For example, in the RFIC design, RFIC narrow down low noise amplifiers. Now I search PhD theses or master theses or tutorials papers on low noise amplifiers. Now I can find where ideas come. And for example, I can search about wideband LNAs, I can low noise designs and high linears. These are three major parts of this search. Now I can search Google Scholar for low noise LNAs, for example, high linear LNAs. This is the way you can maximize your research and saving your time. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Okay, the next question came from the chat room. The question from Fahmi Mubarak. The question is, which part of journal papers was the most important to take or to paraphrase as part of our literature reviews?
The introduction. The introduction session of any journal is the literature review. You must find and you must read it. Yes. Next question.
Okay, for the next question, wait a minute. Maybe any of the participants who are willing to ask live during this session, you can raise your hand. Okay, Mr. Muhammad Robit from Electrical Engineering.
Yes, thank you. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Robit. My question is, what do you think about review papers that published in low Q journals? Like maybe the review article in Q4 or Q3 or Q4. That's my question.
Thank you. It is very good. I suggest you first read these papers because they write ideas very simply. They have new maybe ideas. I don't think it is very good question. Very. I suggest you, for example, read them, and after that, when you find out, oh, it is I know very much about my field. Now go and read harder and maybe confusing papers. For example, ITB solid state circuit papers. Okay.
How about if it's released on low Q journal like Q3 journal or Q4 journal?
I said I think it is very. I suggest you, but low Q journals from prestigious publishers. For example, if your Q4 journal comes from Springer Nature publisher, it is worth to read that. But if your Q4 journal is not from prestigious or famous publishers, I recommend you don't read that because it may have some failures or some wrong data. Okay?
Yeah, okay. So the main is from publisher, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, thank
for
you.
Example, you're welcome. For example, for our study, IEEE indexes journals. Remember, IEEE, John Wiley, Taylor and Francis, and Springer Nature. These are our preferred journals, publishers.
Okay, so thank you.
You're welcome. Next question.
Okay, next question. Okay, maybe I will read from the forms. The question is coming from the Ahmad Agung Purwosaputra. Please share tips and tricks on how to get used to reading journals. Okay.
First of all, I mentioned that in the slides. You can use it, but I can say first you must read the abstract just and find that is that good for me. It is in my opinion, my ideas. Yes, it is good. So if it is good, let's read the introduction session. After introduction session, I found that this journal will be at my exact point of view. If it is true, so now let's read all under the paper. But if you read the abstract and see it is not in your considerations, don't waste your time. But I mentioned how to read and 5 steps in the paper in this presentation. Please watch the video again. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Next question.
Thank you. Okay. Any other question from the live session? Oh. Okay. It's coming from the Sofia Aryani. How to find a research gap so that there is nothing in common in the research? I think it's a very good question.
Can you ask your question one more time?
How to find a research gap so that there is nothing in common in the research?
I can't understand.
So maybe if we reading a lot of, or maybe we can ask for the Miss Sofia Aryani. can you
Yes.
can you turn on your mic?
Yes.
Hello.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi. Yeah,
Right.
maybe you can explain the research. It's be different with the others. So I can to do my research.
Okay.
Refer the research gap.
Before the research, what?
I think
For the
it means that
research.
after reading a certain amount of the paper, maybe we are hope that we can find the research gap, and then we can do the research to fulfill that gap. I think. So what is the?
Yes, I found it.
Okay.
You must follow trends. I found it. Let's explain it to you. For example, in my experience, when you are talking about RFIC, it is a very vast areas. For example, you can work on RNAs, noise amplifiers, filters, PAs, power amplifiers, and so on. So how can I find a research gap from them? You must first read tutorials papers, as I mentioned several times, and after that, when you find when you be familiarized with all papers in your area, you can narrow down your research. For example, oh, I know, I think it is better for me to do a research in power amplifiers for a reason. For example, my supervisor talked to me, work with 2-time delay cells, for example. After that, you must see the trends in that subject. How can I find the trends? For example, the publisher websites, they will do that for you. For example, if you search IEEE in our work, in IEEE for electrical engineers, or Science Direct from Elsevier or Springer Nature, they have it. You can use trends and you will find what are the hot topics in your area. And these hot topics are the major research gaps, so you can search them. And with that, after I think finding some 10 or 20 papers, we will find some gaps. This is one major idea. The second one, read the PhD dissertations. This is a very, very helpful. Why? Because there is a chapter in any PhD dissertation, which means future works. You can find your area, your suggestions and research gaps there. For example, I suggested, yes, you must do some things like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the future areas. This is the second source for finding a research gap. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Are you satisfied, Bu Sofia?
You're welcome.
Yes.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Okay,
You're
thank
welcome.
you. Okay, the next question. It is from the. I think I will read from the chat room first. How to search and then keep the novelties in the research during the study. We have to write the papers and somehow we write the idea or the novelties one. This is from the Hartanto Sanjaya. Okay.
Yes. Use researcher app application and search. That's the two options you need. Researcher app, when you follow a researcher app, I must, for example, in my research, I'm following 2-time delay cells. So with that, I can say I have all papers published in this area. I don't need to waste my time to search websites around the world to finding what is the new papers in 2-time delay cell. No, just install the researcher app and follow your topic. They will show you. This is one good thing. And how to keep our novelty. when you find an idea and when you prove that idea works. For example, in our electrical engineering, when you simulate and experiment results, when you have simulations and experiment results, that idea works. Please do not waste your time and publish your at least conference paper. This will help you to save your novelty, because maybe some others find as your idea and they will publish it too. Okay.
Okay. Okay, we will continue to the next question.
Yes.
Okay. It is from the Yulia Puspita Bhakti. What should we do if we have a new research topic but no sources, or we cannot find any previous journal which discuss it?
Oh, it is a very, very hard road. First of all, if you are a master student, I recommend you to change your topic, because this is a very tough and time consuming work, because you don't have any other research, you don't have so much resources, so you must work and work and work, and I recommend you to change your topic. But if you are a PhD student, it is a very good and challenging one. So what can I do? In my point of view, I recommend you first do your research and do your literature review around some big picture topics from an extensive and broad topics, then narrow until you're around your topic. Then when you find others, what others do in some similar topics, you can find some ideas and some new ideas maybe embark in your mind, and you can slowly find your way. But it is a very tough. I, I suggest you to do a very in-depth literature review around your topic, around your boarded topic, and then come on and find and do something about your topic. Is that okay? Do you understand? The mic is
okay. Sorry.
off.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for your answer, Mr. Ahmad.
Welcome.
Yeah. Okay. The next question is from Shirley De Jong. I think it is quite similar with the previous one. What should we do when the Google Scholar or Web of Science, but the result is too low, or maybe only less than 10? I think the
Yes.
answer is similar with the previous, right?
Yes. The
Yeah.
same answer. Just
Okay.
the same answer.
Okay, the next question is from Asria Nur Irfansyah. What are your tips for non-English speaker like us, most Indonesian, to read the papers from their research results in order to get their main idea and organize these papers? Do you have some tips on effective reading? Thank you.
No, I'm sorry. As I mentioned that to all of my colleagues, please improve your English, because we are doing a electrical engineering in my area or other engineers. The language of our science, the language of our papers, the prestigious papers is English. So we have to learn it. You cannot avoid English. You cannot do a good research without reading or studying others and without connecting others. So you must first improve your English. Sorry.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Okay, maybe any other question from the live session or from the chat room? Okay, you can raise your hand, and then I can give you opportunity to ask directly to Mr. Ahmad. Okay. Okay, sorry for the interruption. Okay. Okay, if we don't have the live session yet, we can read from the written one. The next one is from the Mr. Amrin Fariki. He have two questions. The first one, how to find a problem statement quickly. And then the second one, which one comes first between empirical problem and literature review or research opportunity in research background?
I will answer the second question first.
Okay.
The most important part of your research is the literature review. So it is the first thing to do. You must do the literature review, and find out what you have to do. Practical or empirical results is not important, because you may reinventing the wheel, as I mentioned in the presentation. So first literature review, then do the next work. But how to find my thesis statement quickly? Sorry, you cannot do it. I say, because it is a very time-consuming way. You must first find or talk about with your supervisor for a broad and wide topic, then do a literature review for that, then narrow your topic, then do the literature review for that, then narrow your topic, then literature that, and do it again, this circle, and finally you will find a very specified topic, and you will have a good literature review, and then you will have the thesis statement. You cannot do it very fast. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. So there is no shortcut,
No.
right? Okay.
No, there is not.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Any other question? Okay. We still have a lot of time. You can ask directly, or by chat, or by the form that provided by the committee. Okay, maybe there's one question. So sometimes we feel overwhelmed by the many of the literature review that we are read, and then we don't know when we stop and then find the narrow of our idea. Do you have any experience about that, and how you overcome this problem?
Yes, I think we must set some time for that. For example, you must say, I must do that in 2 months. Now, if after 2 months I have a very low and very tall topics, you must say, now, come on, be easy. You have sent 2 months for that topic, so now you have read lots of papers. Be important, you must do that, and then after finding this, please narrow your topic and search for the narrow topic. And the important thing, in my experience, connect others and ask them. I've done that very. I think that is a very good for the purpose. For example, when I started my PhD journey, I decided to work on transmitters and receivers for bioimplants. But after searching, that's what you said. After searching, I found it is not very good for me. So I've changed that to my present topic, true time delay cells. And I asked about, for example, 100 persons around my true time delay cells topic. And they have answered me, and they guided me. Go to that topic, search that idea, do not do that. And collecting their informations helped me to find my way. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Okay, maybe the next question from the Novalia Andriani. Okay.
Thank you very much. My name is Novalia. you can call me Leah. Mr. Ahmad, can you explain about how you can overcome when after we have many literature review and then we gain knowledge about that, and then after that our promoter change the topic, or maybe he suggests another topic. So it's mean we have to change some literature review and find again and read again, and after that we have to get the problem statement or maybe research gap, and how to overcome and we have to find another literature review and another topic. So it's mean in 1 month we can get 3 different topics. What is your suggestion to face about this? Thank you.
Good. It is a very good question. I think you must first be very relaxed with your supervisor, and in the first step, before doing any literature review, before doing any research, you must be very straightforward and clear to your supervisor, and ask them and be in connection with him, in touch with him or her, to having a specific and firm topic, because this is a very time consuming, as you have mentioned. If you change your topic, it is very time consuming. I have done that from in my PhD journey. The first year I've tried to do something in biomedical engineering, for example, but very soon I found that that topic is not suitable for me. It is not good for me. So I've talked to my supervisor and I said my reasons. I say why I don't like to do that research, so I don't need to do any literature review in that field. And very quickly I changed to my present topic through time delay search. So I suggest you, if you are in the first steps, do that. But if you have done your literature review in that field, you must change it, and you may do nothing, just search again. Sorry. Good.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah. Ms. Novalia, are you satisfied with the answer?
Little bit satisfied, because the time is very consuming. Okay,
yes.
But the co-promoter, let's say, okay, let's say he suggests about the topic in AI. So it's mean I have to deep in artificial intelligence, but I cannot do about in civil engineering is never discussed about the AI. So it's a new thing for me. What do you suggest? This is, I have to face it and try to understand, or what do you think about that?
So I suggest you to talk to your supervisor. I suggest you, I strongly recommend you to talk to your supervisor, because at the end of your journey, you are the person you have to defend your thesis or dissertation. No one can do that for you. So if at that time you say, oh, sorry, I don't know very much about our AI, they will fail you. It is very quick and very so I think it is a very good to talk to your supervisor now and satisfy him that I don't know anything about this topic, or I'd like to do something else because these reasons. Explain your reasons and change his mind or her mind. Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next question, I will take it from the chat room, from the Sofia Aryani. What is the result of literature reviews can be made into article and published in journal without research?
Let's think.
what is the result literature reviews can be made into article and published in journal without the research?
If I understand well, I can say for doing any kind of research, you have to do a literature review. And the summary of a literature review will be your introduction session in your article. For example, I have published 4 or 5 articles, and I've done that. But publish in journals without research, I cannot understand that. What does it mean? But the first part is that your summary of literature review comes in the introduction session.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, and then the next question from the Masud Kabir. Why is that APA citation and referencing style is more used than the others?
So, I'm not familiar with APA citation.
Yeah, so do I.
What is that?
I think that kind of the citation, but usually I'm using the IEEE style.
Yes,
API is another kind of the style referencing styles.
I suggest you that any publisher, for example, IEEE has his own IEEE style. Elsevier has its own style. Or other papers. I don't know API. Another question, I think.
The next question. Wait a minute. I will take a look.
Thank you.
There is someone raised the hand, Miss Harmini.
Mr. Harmini, Miss Harmini.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Abdul Munib, and hello, Mr. Ahmad.
Hi.
My name is Harmini. I'm from electrical engineering. I want to ask you about the references. How many references or literature should we write in the paper? There is a limitation or not? But sometimes when we read a journal, there is a lot of literature, but sometimes we have just find 15 maybe or 20 references. I think it's thank you, Mr. Ahmad.
You're welcome. I can say that for your literature review, you have to read lots of papers. For example, I read, for example, more than 100 papers, and I think more than 50 theses in my MSc test. But in the papers, when you try to publish a paper, it is very important. Where would you like to publish your paper? And what is the format of your paper? For example, the letter paper one, you may need to put, for example, 5 or 6 references only. But in conference papers, you may need 10 references. But in journal papers, original papers, there is no limitation. You can put 30 papers, 40 papers, 100 papers. There is no limitation. For example, in my latest journal, I've inserted, I think, 30 papers, 30 references. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other question from the live session?
Yes, please. Hello.
Hello. Yes.
Yes. My question is: should every paper we read have to put in the references table in our dissertation conference or our thesis, or just a paper that we cite? That's my questions.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I think, no, you don't need to cite every paper you read. I think I read 100 papers, as I mentioned, but just mention those papers you have mentioned them in your text. If you have mentioned anything from any paper, you have to insert the in citation in that part. But if you just read that paper, for example, I read lots of papers about AI in my thesis. I didn't mention them because I didn't use them. But if you use anything, any idea, any relationship, you have to take a citation there. Okay. Did you understand?
Okay, yeah, thank you. Pak Ganesha, are you satisfied with
Yeah,
the
thank you.
answer?
Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other question?
Other questions?
I think we still have around 7 minutes.
Yes.
Okay.
One person raised.
Swardiantara Silalahi from Informatics. Okay.
Hello, Mr. Ahmad.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Sorry, I cannot open my camera right now.
Okay, it's fine.
Yeah, I have a question. When we are conducting a systematic literature review, there are several steps we have to do. Is there any specific tools that we can use in every steps? Let's say we are doing the study selection. There are a lot of papers to be filtered. Is there any specific tools in that is openly we can use, or is it only Microsoft?
For what purpose? For what purpose you want to use that?
For systematic literature review, sir. We are conducting a systematic literature review, and then we can.
No, there is not any systematic literature review. You have to do that manually. You have to find a topic and find papers or sources, as I mentioned in the presentation, and read them. There is not systematic or software tool for that, you know. But for bibliography, yes, we have some softwares that clarify our references, like Zotero, like Mendeley, like EndNote, but there is not any kind of them for systematic literature review, if I understand you very good. Okay.
Thank you, sir, for the answer.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other? Okay, I think I will read from the chat room. It is from the Nadia Parwati. When I find something important related to my research, for instance, definition of AI, should we paraphrase or we can directly write from one journal and give citation?
No. You cannot write directly from one journal. This is plagiarism. You must read that paragraph and then write your opinion, your point of view. And after that, cite that article. For example, if you read a paper from some Springer Nature journal, for example, and just mention that. After that, this is my reference. Just do that. But do not write exact paragraphs. But there is a good thing here. There are some softwares that show you is that your paper have these paragraphs or writings. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
any other question? Maybe from the live session. We still have. Oh, sorry. I think we still have 3 minutes. Okay. Pak Yanto Suyanto.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmad Suyanto from Jakarta. So, was based on your experience. So, to citation of the any paper that in English language, is this, what is the best way? We write directly using the English or the mother language, and then translate to English? What do you think?
I think it is a very, very good question. I've done that. Based on experience, I write my article in Persian language first and then translate it to the English language. Because sometimes you say something in your mother tongue language that you cannot explain it with another language. So I mentioned that. But some of my colleagues directly write in English language first, but I don't like that. Okay.
So based on your experience, you write first in your language and then translate to English.
Yes,
okay.
I do that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. I think the question from Pak Yanto Suyanto conclude our question and answer session. Okay, Mr. Ahmad, maybe you can give closing remarks from your presentation.
Welcome.
Do you have any other remarks or closing statement from your presentation?
No, thank you.
No? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, hopefully we can gain a lot of knowledge from Mr. Ahmad for today's lecture. Okay, because we are running out of time, I will return the session to the MC. Okay, thank you.
Okay. I hope you have a very good session because it was very inspiring and also eye-opening. So thank you very much, Mr. Ahmad Yarahmadi, MSc, for the inspiring lecture today. And thank you, Mr. Abdul Munif, MSc, for conducting this session very amazingly. Please give applause to our inspiring speaker and also our amazing moderator by using the Zoom action feature for today's empowering session. As a token of appreciation, I would like to present a certificate for our honorable speaker and moderator. So this is the certificate for Mr. Ahmad Yarahmadi, MSc, as our gratitude for today's session. Thank you very much, Mr. Ahmad Yarahmadi, for your availability today in providing the lecturing session on literature review, latest tool and methods on a PhD candidate's perspective. And then for the next certificate will be represented for Mr. Abdul Munif, MSc, for being our moderator today. Thank you very much, Mr. Abdul Munif, for your availability today in providing and delivering a great session for all of us. Thank you. Now, before we part, I would like to inform you about Academic Writing Center by ITS, who also providing a good workshop for all postgraduate students in improving their academic writing. This is the schedule, so you can find writing a concise and comprehensive paper, which will be conducted tomorrow, and then paraphrasing, citation, and plagiarism on the next week. And on 29th of October, it is about how to write a good abstract. Please find them in. They have social media. It's at ITS Writing Center in Instagram, so you can know how to book this thematic workshop. And also they also have a drop-in consultation, one-on-one consultation, so you can know how to improve your academic writing in English as well. Okay. So before I end this session, I would like to inform you about our next agenda on RESEP for hard engineering stream, which will be conducted on 18 November 21 October 2021 with the speaker Dr. Dayang Norul Faisrus Abang Zaida from University Technology Malaysia with the theme Common Research Methodology in Your Field. And then you can see from the poster that we are showing you right now that you can check it on ITS Global Engagement website as well. Now, before I end today's session, I would like to invite all participants to open their camera so we can have a group photo session. Okay, so please open your camera and put your best smile. I will count until 3 and then we can take a picture together. So we will have like 9 slides. So you can smile like for 9 minutes. No, I'm kidding. Okay, let's start. For page 1, are you ready? 3, 2, 1, smile.
Nggak sih di Unpad.
Okay, second page. 3, 2, 1, smile. Next page. Okay, so everyone has their camera. I like it. 1, 2, 3, cheers. Next one. Okay. Please wait for a second. 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay. Next one. Number 5. Okay, okay. 3, 2, 1, smile. Next one, page 6. 3, 2, 1, smile. And 7.
Kali aja dapat honoris profesor ya.
3, 2, 1, smile. Okay, next one. 8. Okay, 1, 2, 3, smile. And then last one. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay. Now that we have finished the group photo, I would like to remind you all participants to fill the feedback form provided in the Zoom chat. The participant who will get stamp for it is the participant who comes on time during this event until the end and also fill the feedback form. Finally, we have reached the end of today's RESEP and we sincerely apologize for any inconvenience during the session from me as the Master of Ceremony and also from the committees. We will see you again on the upcoming session. Thank you again for coming to and for attend our session. Thank you, the speaker, and thank you, Mr. Abdul Munif as our moderator. Good evening, stay safe and stay healthy. Bye-bye.
Thank you.